welcome back for episode 11 of our Computomics podcast. Today we pick up after our summer break and we continue our discussion on metagenomics and the ways that we envision answering the challenges that currently exist in the analysis space. Today we have our product manager, Oliver Deusch, who will be talking about our suite of metagenomics tools to include MORPHEUS, which is a wonderful interactive tool for large subsets or small subsets of metagenomic samples across organizations or across studies. I hope you enjoyed the episode. So Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anna.
I'm really happy to have you here to give everyone sort of an introduction or an overview of what MORPHEUS is. I know that we launched it recently this year and it's had great response from the community. So maybe you can give us just a general introduction to what it is and yeah.
Okay, so with MORPHEUS, we are building on the same technologies as with the more well-established Megan and Diamond pipelines. But we really want to make this tool more accessible to people. So we want to make metagenomics data analysis even more accessible. What do we mean by this? We want to take away the pain of having to deal with large files, having to run lengthy bioinformatics analyses, and we really want to take this all away from the user, so the user can focus on data analysis and data interpretation. That's our goal with MORPHEUS.
Yeah, that's great. And do you mean do you need to be an expert, or is this tailored for somebody who, for example, is not that comfortable with metagenomics data, or can somebody who's also scripting their own analyses, can they also interact with this? So which level of user is really this geared towards?
This is really geared towards all levels of users. So it's good for the metagenomics novice, let's say, because you don't need to take care of all the bioinformatics. So it's really easy to get into metagenomics. But if you're an expert, you can also work with this platform. For example, you can include your own analyses, your scripts that you already have into the platform and customize it that way. But it would really be beneficial to all kinds of users.
Great. And maybe for those of us who are comfortable with sort of the tools that we use, can you tell us what MORPHEUS is really based on, or the tools that MORPHEUS is based on, so that we have an understanding of kind of the kinds of analyses that are running in the background?
Yeah, sure. So at the heart of MORPHEUS, we have the Megan and Diamond-based analysis pipeline that's very popular. So we are using Diamond to calculate alignments against the NCBI-NR protein reference database. And then we're using the lowest common ancestor methodology implemented in Megan to do taxonomic assignments. We're using the KEGG database for functional assignment. And so that's the basis or the fundamental analysis. And then we have a series of R data analysis scripts that basically create tables, do summary plots and visualizations.
And what kind of visualizations are currently available for the as sort of a base operating model?
So currently we're looking at stacked bar charts to visualize the most abundant taxa, so the most abundant genera, families, and so on. We're also looking at some principal coordinate analyses to look at the structure in the data, so you can get a quick idea of, is there any big trend separating, let's say, for example, two treatment groups in my samples. We've got plots to look at microbial diversity. On top of that, we're also looking at some heat maps to look at co-occurring taxa, and we've also got some plots to visualize KEGG functions, so metabolic pathways, and we've just started integrating some plots that explore the co-occurrence of KEGG pathways and specific taxa. So this is kind of the base set of analyses that we offer at the moment. But as I said earlier, because all the analyses are written in R, or most of them are written in R, it's relatively easy to expand this tool set. And if you're a customer and you have a specific set of analyses that are currently not on the system, it should be relatively straightforward to, expand the system and add those tools.
Yeah, when you say that, that's one of the things that I always have respected and loved about working in Computomics and with our team is that we never want to limit the user, right? So we never want to replace somebody or take over someone's department. The goal is really to support people and give them the opportunity to do even better, more functional, more useful analysis. So if somebody needs something quickly analyzed, they can add that to their repertoire. But if they already have a set of analyses they would like to do or have been doing, then they can add that in. So it's really a way to support an organization or a team in just doing what they're doing, but better and more functionally and quicker, and sort of to get them the results they could have gotten, but in a more effective manner, I guess. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this would be the way the more experienced metagenomics researcher would interact with us through Morpheus. That they would get, a reproducible analysis done relatively quickly, and we take care of all the, the groundwork and the heavy lifting, if you like, and then you can always add more in-depth custom analyses on top. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. So maybe you can give us an example so people can kind of understand who you imagine to be, because one of the things that I have really been impressed with working together, sort of spreading this message about Morpheus, is the wide array of people that we talk to who show interest or for whom this is really beneficial, and they don't really fall into one category of partner or client or team member, but they're really span a variety of users. And I think it would be really interesting for people to know who the potential users of Morpheus are, and see if they can sort of see themselves in those categories.
Okay, so yeah, so there's a variety of categories, like you said. So first, there would be the first time metagenomics user, I would say, and they want an analysis that they can do without too much hassle, and they're maybe not too sure if they're going to continue working in the area of metagenomics, but they want an easy access into the field and want to find out if this is an area that they want to explore more in the future. So if you don't have a lot of background in this area, but you want to do research, Morpheus would be great to start. Then there's more experienced users that maybe know what they or have worked in the area before, and maybe even have bioinformatics and statistics background, or a bioinformatics and statistics team in their local research site, but they want a streamlined analysis where they can get reproducible results quickly, and that they then later want to build their own analysis around. So that the platform basically does all the heavy computational lifting for them, and maybe even the data storage, because some people may not have local IT infrastructure to align hundreds of metagenomics samples against the reference database, which will take time. Even with modern tools like Diamond, it will still require hours and maybe even days of computational work So if those customers that don't have that local IT infrastructure, Morpheus could be beneficial for them as well. And then maybe another client who would want to interact with Morpheus could be a DNA sequencing provider who wants to offer a set of analyses to their customers for metagenomics and make this more accessible. So that in that case, the sequence provider could send the FASTQ files straight to the Morpheus service, and the Morpheus service would then do data analysis and storage, and you could send a link to your customer so the customer can download the data and interact with the data through Morpheus. And this way, I think, would be really, really nice, because at the point where the customer interacts with the sequencing results, it's not just big FASTQ files of sequence data, but it's really results, because we've already run our set of standardized analyses, and the customer can already look at results instead of just having to handle raw data for hours or days even. So we think that's also a very good a case where Morpheus would be beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's a really great. It's really great that you hit on that. The connection between the sequencing provider and the data output, or let's say it doesn't really even matter which side of the team you're on, whether or not you're the sequencing provider and you just want your clients to have easy visualizations of your data, or you are the team who wants to do the analysis and you want to link to a sequencing provider internally that you always use, for example, that can be established on either side, right? So we have worked with sequencing providers, and we have worked with teams that want to link to a sequencing provider to make that data upload so easy that essentially the analysis team never really even has to handle the data files. They get a message that their data is available and already analyzed for them. And that really streamlines things across large analysis organizations, or even just for any client of the sequencing provider. Have you also seen that?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's probably important to say that we're not taking this data away. It's always accessible.
Yes,
But
right,
but
right,
you
right.
yeah, but you don't have to touch it if you don't want to. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. And of course, also maybe it's important for us to hit on the, since you just mentioned we're not taking the data away, on the privacy aspect. So on the way that analysis teams can really keep this data, let's say, close to themselves, is perhaps the way that they manage their metadata.
Yes. So with Morpheus, basically the customer decides on what types of metadata they want to provide. So obviously, if we want, or if you would like to get access to some of our exploratory data analysis, you somehow have to group your samples, because otherwise, you can't do
There's no
visuals.
analysis
Yeah,
possible.
exactly.
Yeah,
There's no
right.
analysis really. So, but you really choose what kind of information you want to disclose. So you can disclose like only parts of the data you have. You can use your internal code if you like. The customer is really in control of the data they share with the platform.
Right. And also, they're very in control of having interactive results that they can work with, right? So it's very unlike other services where they just get a report, and if they realize that they grouped the data incorrectly or they want to group it differently, there's no other option. But they're really in control of the kind of results they can produce and reproduce, in the real sense of reproduce, to produce again. Maybe you can mention just the interactive aspect of it for one of our last points.
Yeah, sure. So if your study lives on the Morpheus platform, and you at some point you realize that you've provided incorrect metadata, or your samples were grouped incorrectly, or samples need to be excluded, or maybe you have part of a study and want to merge the data with another study, that's all possible on the platform. So it's not like you can always change or make changes to your data. So it's not like a one-off thing, but
It's not a static report,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
interactive and the user is in control.
That's something that we really value, I think, is really giving that control, as I mentioned before, really giving it to the team and not having our analysis be based on any sort of black box or miscellaneous, quantification, but really basing our analyses on quality open source tools and really making it accessible and reproducible and meaningful to our users. So I really value that, and I think that's, you really value that too. So thank you for explaining that.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, Oliver. Well, I hope we get a chance to talk again soon. And how should somebody reach out to you if they're interested in discussing Morpheus further?
Yeah, so you can either just send me an email at oliver.deusch@computomics.com, or you could use the get in contact button on our website, computomics.com. Yeah, that's probably the easiest.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Computomics podcast. We hope you learned something useful for your current and future metagenomics studies. We hope that you'll join us again in 2 weeks as we continue our discussion on the field. And as always, please leave a rating or review, get in touch with us, and we'd love to hear feedback. If you'd love to be a guest on our show or just to get in touch and talk bioinformatics, we'd also love to hear from you. And see you in 2 weeks.